What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It is 2025 and we are continuing to get after it. Just out on a steady, 7k run today, but I wanted to take the time to thank everybody that's shown support over 2024 and continuing on into the new year. I hope all your goals are smashed this year and you absolutely get after it. Anyway, today's video, I'm going to break down exactly how I shaved off 8 minutes in 3 months on my 5k. So when we get back from the run, I'll break down everything that I did to do that. But until then, time to smash this run. So I thought it'd only be fitting for a 5k video to do a 5k run. So the back end of that, really frustrating. The path I chose ended up going on a bit of a trail run in road shoes, and it's muddy and I took a fall. Dirty all my shoes, my hand, watch, camera, sleeve, but fuck, it is what it is. Took a few seconds off my time, but we ran a 4:17 pace and 21:29. Considering I've had 5 weeks off running, I'll take that. Engine is definitely lagging a little bit, but that's why we're going to get into the importance of building your engine. Anyway, see you at home.
Well, that was an interesting run. We hit the deck, but it is what it is. It was funny. I got up, I kept going, my feet were sliding, and I just, anyway. Take a couple of seconds off that, maybe 10-15 seconds if we're lucky. But now we get into the good section of this video. So what I wanted to do here is essentially show you how I got from this time to this time in just literally 3 months. And I'll even date stamp them for you so you know that I ain't bullshitting. So in no particular order are the points that have helped me be faster, set better times, do longer runs, do rapid runs, especially with holding the amount of muscle tissue that I've got. So going from a 100-kilo bodybuilder to an endurance athlete, it's going to have its toll, and it is hard work, but with consistency and determination, you can get where you want to get to. Now, before we get into my points, my first 5k run was extremely hard, extremely tough. I thought I was fit coming off all the cardio that I did from bodybuilding and photo shoot prep and all this, but it's a whole different ball game being aerobically fit. Okay, so that first 5k run was brutal. It was hard. Everybody was beating me, and it definitely knocked my confidence for sure. But I just knew that was the baseline, and I could only progress from there. And that's how you have to go into running. It's setting that baseline and then understanding, right, that's hard. It can only get better, but it also will get harder the longer you run and the more you push yourself. So that initial run was, well, I'll put it on the screen, but 28 minutes and 58 seconds, and that was just a local club run on the 27th of June 2024. Now, a few months running, a couple of races. I entered the London 10K on the 22nd of September 2024, the London Vitali 10K, where my first 5 kilometer split was 20 minutes and 50 seconds. I didn't know at the time that it was that quick, and my total time was 42:12 for that race. But this is leading me into this video. How did I take off 8 minutes in just 3 months on my 5K? Okay, now running is hard. It is hard. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes about it. But if you've got your mindset right, you can do anything that you want. So, leading into number 1, consistency. The more consistent you are with running, the better you're going to get naturally over time. Now, we all know that running is hard, especially that first one, that second one, that third one. You've got sore legs, sore knees, sore shins, sore feet. If you can push through that and become consistent with running, firstly, you're going to fall in love with the process, but over time, you're going to naturally see that you can run longer, you can run faster, and that is where you can really start to mix up your training. And if you want, enter races and push your times. And that being said, with running, it's a huge mind game because it hurts. Sometimes it's hard to breathe, especially when you're very new to running and you are trying to push that pace a little bit. Sometimes you don't even want to do it, so you have to rely on, discipline and motivation and these things to actually get out and do those runs. But as I said, the more consistent you are with them, naturally these things are just going to pick up and you will fall in love with running, and from there it gets quite expensive. That leads me on to, and I've got my book here, okay, because I wrote all my notes down for this, just to make sure that I've got everything covered. Point number 2 is footwear. Invest in good running shoes. So when I first started my first few runs, I was running in Nike Reacts, and they are not running shoes. And I could feel everything. I could feel all the shock. I could feel it through my joints, my bones, absolutely everything. Now, as much as it hurt, I pushed through that pain and I got through those runs and I really enjoyed it. There's nothing better than a runner's high, that releasing endorphins when you come home from a good run. I still had that even though it was sore. So naturally I progressed into investing into some decent shoes. I started with the Nike Run 4s. They were a very, very good shoe for their purpose at the time. And that was like entry-level running for me. I then progressed on. Anyway, so there's so many different ways that you can venture into footwear. But primarily what you want to be doing when you are getting into running is getting a gait analysis. See how your foot pattern lands. Is it landing supinated? Is it landing pronated? Or are you running naturally? Because that may have an effect on how you're going to progress your running, and it's also going to help with potential aches and pains further down the line in terms of your running. Now, if you're looking into running fast pace or enter some races, then obviously, carbon plates are the best shoe for trying to progress and run fast. But if you just go in for like daily runs, then there's really no point doing that. Find a comfortable, sturdy shoe with a nice stack on it that absorbs the shock. And this is just going to increase longevity for you in terms of your running. So you've got your daily running shoes, then you've got shoes for your tempo runs, and then for your races and speed work, you can look at your carbon plates. Now, if you are trying to set a very fast time for your 5K, then a carbon plate shoe would be fantastic. But if you're just doing regular 5Ks, then there's no real point. I see countless people wearing Alpha Fly 3s for the local 5K park run, and it blows my mind. What a waste of £300 just to go to your local run. I mean, if that's what you want to do, spend your money on it, fantastic. But if you really want to push your running, a carbon plate shoe is fantastic, and that's a shoe that I used in the Vitali 10K in London, and that was a Saucony Endorphin Elite 4. Very good shoe, very fast shoe. But yeah, to get the most out of your running, invest in some proper running shoes. Just adding on to that, I also want to say mix up your shoes. So if you are wanting to look to run faster, get a carbon plate. If you are looking to do some tempo work, get a lighter, faster shoe. And then of course, if you are just doing your runs, just have a nice everyday runner. And I think that rotation is really going to help you progress your running. So yeah, that's why I would recommend that. Now moving on to my next point, which is Zone 2 running or conversational pace. Now, there's a lot of talk about this and it is very beneficial. I most certainly do it, but sometimes I naturally just pick up my pace and I can't help it. So then you have to slow back down. You're looking at your heart rate and things like this. Obviously, nobody really wants to run slow, but the more time you spend on feet at a lower heart rate, the longer you're going to be able to run further down the line. Now, boost essentially what you're doing here is building that engine to allow you to run longer times, but you're also going to be building that VO2 max. So when you are trying to push your limit, you can get more oxygen. Now, that being said, obviously when you start running, a zone 2 run is still going to have a spike in heart rate, and it's hard to bring that down. But the more that you are consistent with your running, the lower and lower and lower that zone 2 heart rate is going to come down. So naturally the runs are going to be easier. Your heart is sitting at a lower pace, which means there's less energy being put into that run, and the healthier your heart is going to get as well. So they're the real benefits of easy runs, zone 2 runs, or conversational runs. Point number 4, mix up your runs. This is extremely important for you if you are trying to get faster. Okay, so if you was just to do zone 2 runs, yes, you're going to naturally bring down your heart rate, and it's going to be easier for you to finish these runs or get through these runs. However, if you want to get faster, you need to run fast. It's as simple as that. So what I would be recommending here, and it depends on how much time you've got, is to have a few easy pace runs, depending on what distance you want, doesn't really matter. And then you need to start incorporating tempo runs. What I like to do personally is run to feel. So I will set my easy runs or my recovery runs if I've got lactic acid buildup, but I will program in tempo runs, where I would be running at like race pace. I'd do like a couple of kilometers warm up, then I go to race pace, and then I do a couple of kilometers cool down. Or I would just run to feel and just look at my watch and see how I'm getting on. And if it was getting a bit too hard, then pull it back a little bit. But we just keep pushing on. Now, it's very easy to burn out if you do all your runs to feel, and that's the last thing that you want to do here. The next thing you could be doing there, especially if you are trying to get really fast, is doing your speed work down at the track, where you could be doing like 2K warm up, then you could be doing 800 meter intervals at a fast pace, whatever you want to do. Like, let's say for example you are trying to run a fast 5K, and let's just use like a 4:15 pace, and you're trying to run those 800 meters consecutively at that pace. This is going to build that threshold, and it's going to allow you to get faster over time. And then I would do another cool down after that. But you can mix that up. You could do 2 800s, then into 4 400s. Then you could introduce some 200 work, 90 seconds rest, or 200 floats, or 400 floats. There's so many ways you can program this to get faster over time. So just mix up your runs. So tempo runs, easy runs, to feel runs, which is personally one of my favorites, and then your speed work as well. This is obviously where you're gonna need to invest in more shoes. Okay, you can do like if you get, say for example, Nike Invincibles, they're a good sturdy shoe, and I think they're like 5 to 15k. That's what they're built for. But if you want to run faster, this is where you're gonna have to jump back to my other point and get some faster shoes essentially. The good thing about a carbon plate is the return of energy. So I had an argument with my wife talking about how carbon plates preserve energy and they propel you forward and they allow you to run faster. And she just goes, no shoe can make somebody faster. Incorrect. So point number 5. This one is subjective. For me, when I first started running, I wanted to be around other people. This will allow me to be competitive and allowed me to push faster, especially when little 56-year-old Catherine was smoking me. I joined a run club, and this was really good because there's a community that you can become a part of. Go out, do your little 5K runs, and then you can progress your time. I used that run club as a progressive run, a speed run each week to push my times to get as fast as I possibly could at a 5K, and it just got better and better and better as my aerobic baseline got better, and my anaerobic running got a lot better as well. It just allowed me to continue bringing that time down. That, and also get yourself a running partner. So Rich, if you're watching this, he really developed my running. Every Friday we would go out at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. We would do anywhere between 8 to 15 kilometer runs, and I would run at his pace because he's run marathons He's done longer runs than I have. He has more experience than I have, and it just allowed me to sit into his run groove, which was naturally faster than mine. And this is like the run to feel that I was talking about. So I wasn't looking at my watch. I wasn't concentrating on my heart rate. All I was focusing on was sticking with him, and it just allowed me to push myself physically and mentally and increase my running speed. So that was extremely important, and it's been very, very beneficial to my running journey in such a small time frame. Number 6 in the old Bible of Chris's Bible, don't gas yourself out. This is like fundamental, because everybody that starts running just thinks that they need to run their fastest every time. And let me tell you by experience, you will hurt yourself, you will sustain injuries, but you will gas yourself out to a point where it's just, you cannot recover from that. And not only that, you will also get severely disappointed over time, because if your goal is to be faster every single run, let me tell you, you will not be faster every time. And it will get harder and harder, and you'll have to push yourself harder and harder, and your fitness levels may get a little bit better, but without those easy runs, it's just going to be really hard to build that aerobic baseline, and you're not going to have that longevity in your running. Okay, so you could increase risk of injury, long-term injury, short-term injury, pull you back like I did after like 3 runs in. But you're not going to enjoy it, because you're not going to get that satisfaction of hitting a PB every single time that you run. So do your easy runs, do your fast runs, and naturally those two together are going to allow you to knock a significant amount of time off whatever, run you're trying to do. You want to enjoy the process of running, and getting better over time by these easy runs is kind of where the enjoyment comes from, because you are seeing yourself get better, your heart is getting healthier, you're getting fitter, you're getting leaner, which is not a point of running, but you can. But it's more enjoyable coming home from a run and then going to a fast run and realizing, holy shit, I've knocked a fair amount of time off here, other than just trying to sprint every run and hating life, because it's hard. Running fast is hard. So just do not gas yourself out. So this is going to lead me on to my final point here, and it is nutrition. So a 5K is not the longest run in the world, so you really don't need to carb load or load anything in there. You could just wake up and go for a fast 5K if you wanted to. Now, in my experience and in my opinion, you're going to perform at a much higher standard if you are fueled. So using carbohydrates as your primary source of energy is a perfect form of nutrition to run your best. I would load before longer runs, like anything above 15k, 20k, 30k, marathons, half marathons, things like that nature. I would load like a couple of days in. But for a 5k, you could simply just have something quick, like a gel or a bagel or a crumpet with jam or something like that. A good source of energy for you to go out and blitz that run. We're not running long enough for you to deplete your glycogen stores, so it's not really going to be an issue. But I just always find that if you are fueled, you're just going to run better, you're going to perform better. So don't neglect that. Now, obviously, for your longer runs, you'll be taking things like your gels. You'll be taking things like sodium tablets, just to prevent cramping. Making sure that you are hydrated. The first thing that I do when I wake up before a run is I ensure that I get enough electrolytes in, and this just prevents any kind of cramping or any stitching or anything like that. So that's a big one there. So make sure you're hydrated before your runs. Make sure you get the carbs in pre and post run, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy the process. So that's it. That's pretty much everything. So just to recap. Consistency, invest in shoes, zone 2 or conversational pace runs, mix up your runs, find a running partner or group to push you, don't gas yourself out, and the last one, number 7, prioritize your nutrition. These methods are everything that I use to the T to bring down my time as a 100 kilo bodybuilder running at just under 30 minutes for a 5K with my heart rate elevating to nearly 180 beats per minute, to running a 20-minute and 50-second 5K in just 3 short months. So anybody can do it. Just got to follow these points. I'm sure there's some more in there. And the more you study, the more you watch things like this or other runners, the better your running is going to get. It's as simple as that. So guys, I'm going to leave this one here for you. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you can take something away from this. If I've said anything wrong, I apologize. You know, sometimes talking off the top of my head, I can ramble. But if I have said anything wrong and you think otherwise, please correct me in the comments below. But other than that, please like, share, subscribe, go steady on me if I have said something wrong. Again, thank you for the support over 2024. Thank you for the continued support into 2025. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to fire them over. Until then, I'll see you on the next one.